Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It has been a while since I've done a car chat, but I decided to do one today. So I'm in a different car today, so I don't have my little phone out. So I am holding the phone, but don't worry, I'm being safe. Plus I'm in traffic, so it's moving slow. So I wanted to talk about this recent interview Fantasia did on the Breakfast Club, and just kind of like the reaction the public had. But I also wanted to talk about like some of the things that she actually said in that video. So they got to talking about her marriage, how she met her husband, and she said some things that caused her to get dragged because they mentioned the S word, which if you don't know what the S word is, it's basically submission, being submissive. A lot of women cannot stand to hear that these days.
What does that mean? You can't be a leader? Because a lot of women look at like, no, I could lead in my household. I could do this in my household. What does that mean?
That's not how it's supposed to be, and that's why we bump heads. And I feel like it's a generational thing. And we can go real deep on that, and I don't need to start that, but it's a generational curse.
Mm-hmm.
And how society have placed our men.
Mm-hmm.
And women have to stand up and be the mother and the father and the provider. And so then now you are so bad, you can't be told nothing, that when the right man come, you lose him because you're trying to be the man. I was finna say,
right,
man.
Mm-hmm. Can we be equal?
Oh, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But see, at the end of the day, I'm the neck, my man's the head. So he can't make any moves without his wife. You know what I mean? It all works together. But you can't be the head of the house. You got to let the man be the head of the house. But it's a generational thing, and it's what we've been taught. To stand up, be strong, be the, you know what I mean? And a dude come and everything about you is like a man.
So in the video, she basically said that one of the reasons women can't get a man or can't find a good man is because they're too busy trying to be the man. And she said, if you're going to be the queen, you have to let your man be the king. And she said, like, basically she's the neck and he's the head. But a king can't make his moves without the queen. So it's teamwork. It's not like he's over here doing any and everything and making all the decisions and the woman just sits there. Like it's teamwork. Like the head needs the neck just as much as the neck needs the head type of situation. Things that she said, I guess it really comes down to what your belief is as far as what the role of a man is versus what the role of a woman is supposed to be. And I think religious belief does also come into play. She did make it very clear that she is a Christian. She had prayed to God about what she wanted in her husband. Her and her husband pray together. So her faith did also factor into that. But yeah, she said, it was hard for her to kind of assume that role and to allow her man to be the head because she had been so used to doing everything. She was the one that had been taking care of her family, like financially and all that. So when he came along, it was hard for her to allow him to take that role. He had to basically sit her down, and she said that he talked to her the way she's supposed to be talked to, and he let her know, you don't have to do all that anymore now, like I'm here, So he assumed his position as the head, and she followed suit. So I feel like women, we are at a time in our existence where we don't know what the heck we want. There's those of us that say we're strong, independent women, that we can hold our own and stuff like that. But at the same time, we say that we want a good man. We want a man that, is supposed to do what a man's supposed to do. But then when that man comes along, we don't always allow him to do what a man is supposed to do. Now, I do think that we live in a time and in a society where it's hard to sometimes practice that, because allowing the man to be the head means also allowing him to kind of be the one mainly taking care of the finances. But that's hard where, one income usually is not enough to support a household. And so you need the woman to work. We don't really have that luxury for the most part of just being able to be stay-at-home moms or housewives unless you have a man that is making a good, decent amount of money. So And also, you know, just the history of certain groups in this country, it's like women have had to kind of step up and take that role as the head, because there's a lot of fatherless households. There has been a process, in my opinion, of the demasculinization of men and the masculinization of women. So it's hard to kind of come back and find that proper balance when women continually find themselves in positions where they have to assume kind of like that head of household role, where we have to kind of look to ourselves to support ourselves and our families, And so again, when a man comes your way that actually wants to, take care of you, it's kind of hard to let that go. Like in my case, I take care of everything. I have a mortgage that I pay. I take care of my kids. Like I pay everything. So I know for me to kind of, let a man step in and kind of not take over, but assume that head of household position, that's going to be hard for me. Like I already know. But I think it takes the right man to be able to allow a woman to do that. And so it's kind of like a power struggle that I think women, we sometimes find ourselves in, where it's like we don't want to give up that sense of power that we have. And so when we hear someone mention the word submissive, or we need to be submissive, it's like, oh heck no, I'm not going to be submissive to no man. I'm not going to have no man telling me what to do or how to run my life. Like, no, I make my own decisions and stuff like that. But I think people also have the wrong concept of what submission is, I think, and some men too, because I think some men think that for women to be submissive, it means that they completely run the show and that they're basically like, like the woman has to be like just totally obedient to them and like a master and slave type of situation, when it's not that at all. It still requires like teamwork. Like this is a team. This is not a slave and master type of situation, which I think women need to also realize that it's not that like a man needs the woman just as much as the woman needs the man. But then of course it can get even more complicated when it's a situation where the woman makes more than the man, and like Fantasia said, sometimes that can cause jealousy, or it can make she didn't say this, but in my mind I think sometimes that can make the man feel inadequate, or like it makes them feel like they can't properly assume the head of household role because the woman's making most of the money. And so because she makes most of the money, it's very likely that she's calling most of the shots, So in those situations too, it's hard to find a balance, but like Fantasia said, with the right person it can be done. And if you find yourself in a situation where, say, you're both working equal amount of hours, he's working 40 hours a week, you are working 40 hours a week, it's like, well, if we're doing the same amount of work, am I still going to be expected to come home and clean and cook and take care of the kids and all that? So in those situations, there does need to be a balance, because at that point it's unfair. So if you're both equally working and both bringing in around the same amount of money, then that requires a conversation to be had as far as how the other roles are going to be fulfilled. But I think there is still room to allow a man to kind of assume that head of household role even in those situations. So I think that the feminist movement has had a lot to do with why women don't want to hear the word submissive, or why they have such a negative view of that word. And like I've said in a previous video, I am not a feminist, although I can appreciate a lot of what they have fought for, like equal pay for equal work, speaking out against the domestic violence and abuse and harassment of women, including in the workplace. Like all that I can of course appreciate. And I do think, there are those good sides to what they do, but at the same time, sometimes I feel like this feminist movement has kind of, created like this anti-man type of situation, which does not help women either. So that is why I can't consider myself a feminist. And I feel like sometimes it undermines, or it I don't know, belittles the role of the man in the household and even with children. Like, at the end of the day, like, there's just something a man can provide to a woman and to a child that women, we simply cannot. And I feel like it's sometimes hard for us to accept that again and be like, I wasn't meant to do this by myself. Like, we weren't put on this earth to raise kids and run households by ourselves. We just weren't. And I feel like that is something we kind of have to, like, relearn, you know. But again, it's hard when you have so many men, I don't know, don't know how to be men. A lot of them growing up without fathers, so nobody's teaching them how to be men. There's so many men in jail, and now you have all these men that are, you know, gay and living alternative lifestyles, which does not help women either. So it's a lot of stuff going on. So, you know, I can't blame women, like I said, for sometimes being the way that we are, or the way that we can be. You know, we don't really want to allow a man to be the head of household, you know. And the fact that so many men were dragging Fantasia for the things that she said, when really I'm like, where's the lie in what she said? It just shows the state at which women are mentally right now, where the mere thought of having a man that would kind of lead us and us take that second or passenger seat is like, oh no, hell nah. That's that old school traditional BS. That's how our grandmamas live, maybe even our moms, but we're not about to do that. And you know, at the end of the day, not every type of situation works for every relationship or every person. There are going to be some relationships where the woman is more dominant, the man might be a little more laid back, whatever, and if that works for them, hey. But just because you have a woman over here saying, well, this is how things are supposed to be, and this is why some of you women can't find a good man, I don't think that required for her to be dragged. Because at the end of the day, she was telling the truth. At least in my opinion, I feel that she was. There, at the end of the day, no matter how progressive or how much our society's changed, there are certain roles that women and men have always had. And I don't think it's only because they have been the cultural norms, but also because there are just certain characteristics that women and men have innately. They're like, women, we are naturally more submissive. Men naturally have that desire or that need to provide and protect. Like, that is how it's always been, and that's how it always will be. So it's like, you can't change the things that we are inwardly. You know what I'm trying to say? So anyway, that is it for this video. I just got to work. If you guys watched that interview, let me know your opinion or just your thoughts on what I've said in general. All right, guys, I'll check you guys in the next one. Bye.